Good morning.
How's it going? Did
So
you
far,
make
so
it?
good. Huh?
Did you make it inside safely?
Yeah, I hate when my car's outside because it gets all the snow on it.
Yeah,
It is what it is.
nothing like shoveling snow off your vehicle.
Right? So while I have a few minutes, let me just, oh, you know what? Let me unrecord.
Morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Got a little bit of snow in the mountains this morning.
Yeah, we got 8 inches last night here, which is fairly odd this time of
Yeah.
year.
You still in Kansas City?
Yeah, just outside of it in Lawrence. We're supposed to get another maybe 4 to 8 today. They said schools are all canceled, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We're in the same boat here. Had about 8 inches last night. And it's still dumping all day. So schools are canceled. So if you hear my kids yelling in the background, I'm sorry, but hopefully they'll be quiet.
Yeah, they did the same thing here. They closed schools. Actually, they shut down the county for one of the first times in several years. So
Wow. How much snow did you guys get?
we looks like we're somewhere between 3 to 4 inches, but I think there was a little bit of rain prior to the snow coming down last night, so there's a little bead of ice under the snow. So I think, and just the fact that it's supposed to continue on through the day, I think everyone.
Yeah. Well, we're famous for canceling school a day early and then nothing hits.
Well, you know, when you're in Texas, that's how it works. They get scared of it and they just shut
Yeah.
everything down. So, you know, I get it. I get it. All right, we'll give everybody about 1 more minute and then we'll get this started this morning.
Okay.
So I want to thank everyone for coming this morning. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to day, especially today, since you may have some challenges in your world due to the weather. But we do appreciate you taking the time to be part of this integrated master plan focus group. I'm Corey Styron. I'm the Director of Community Services here in Los Alamos County. And what we're undertaking is an ambitious process to develop an integrated master plan that takes all the services under community services and make sure that we're aligned, that we're delivering these services holistically across our county platform, because community services is one of the few divisions in our community that we reach and touch so many community members and visitors to our community with our offerings. Community services encompasses parks, the aquatic center, the ice rink. We have contracts for the senior center, teen center, youth center. We produce events like the concert series. We work in partnership for several other big events. We have the ice rink. We also have the social services where we have a partner with the public health office. work to help people that may be in need, to find some quick resources for challenges in their lives. And then we also have the library under our purview. So we really touch a lot of the community. We want to make sure our services are integrated throughout that process. Today we have Pat O'Toole and J.R. Clanton from Barry Dunn, who is our consultant. If you've been following along, you may have heard the name Greenplay was originally the vendor. On January 1st, they merged with Barry Dunn to become one of the largest and most well-resourced agencies for doing public work like this. And we're kind of forging new ground, adding not only social services, but the library to our platform. There's been instances other agencies have done one or the other, but we're stepping out there with the holistic look across our platform. They're going to have a brief presentation this morning, and then they're going to open it up and get some feedback from you guys on some of your thoughts and ideas going on. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Pat and JR.
Great. Thanks, Corey. Yes, I'm Pat O'Toole, and I'm a manager with Barry Dunn and will be the project manager for this process. And a little bit about our history is I was with Greenplay for 20 of their 22 years, a park and recreation consulting company, and been consulting since 1995. And prior to that was a director and assistant director of 4 different agencies. So have sat in Corey's seat. So we all kind of come from an operational perspective as we do planning. As we look at what we're doing today, we're gonna start the process and continue it this week with getting your opinions on what should happen in Los Alamos County there. With that, I'm going to turn it over to JR to introduce himself.
Thanks, Pat. I'm J.R. Clanton. I'm a consultant with Barry Dunn, and I specialize in municipal finance, parks, recreation, and libraries.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen here, and we'll go through a presentation today, and JR is going to record your answers. We are recording this session as well, and want to also let you know that you can chat. You can type your answers in, and we'll record those as well. So what I'm going to show on the screen now is just our process, start to finish of the master plan. We had a couple of kickoff sessions back in the fall, outlining the program and the dates and making sure the expectations that we all had were on the same level. You can see the circle on the first stage of information gathering. That's really what we're doing this week. We did 4 sessions back in December virtually, and we're doing quite a few this week. And what we want to do is create the wish list to the brainstorm, what might be possible there. And then we're also going to do a statistically valid survey as well as an online survey after this process, which will all be part of the needs assessment. We've got a team that will be coming down probably the 1st of March to do inventory assessment, and via GIS, they will also put together a level of service analysis that will calculate the level of service of every rooftop in Los Alamos County. During this phase, we also will do a community profile, so a demographics look. In both cases of the level of service and demographics, we're going to have the sub areas of Los Alamos and White Rock, and then we can also look at it from a countywide perspective. We're also going to put together a very hefty trends package of what we see across the country that are successful trends that might work here in Los Alamos County. We also have a nonprofit development wing and research wing called GP Red, with quite a library that we keep up to date on these types of trends from park and recreation experts all over the country. Once we have this information, our second phase is we will come in and present findings back to our internal committees and the county staff and boards and also to the public. So included in that will be the survey results, the public input summaries, the demographics, the trends, those types of things, as well as analysis of the community services department. And then we will leave that, sorry, touchy keyboard. We'll leave that session after what we call a visioning workshop, which is really talking about the key issues that came out of all of the findings and preliminary recommendations that we'd like to start working on and kind of come to agreement so that we can come back and start writing the draft master plan report. And then we will be back to present the recommendations as well as the capital costs and operational costs and the timetable of those, and get feedback and create that final plan and come in and present the final plan for adoption. And then the last step is the implementation, which is probably the most important step. And I'm going to let Corey go through some of the projects that are currently in progress that we'll include here.
So currently we have these projects going on in the community. We have a renovation at the BMX. It's kind of currently on hold. The RFP that we had was grossly over budget, so we're having to rethink that one. We've added new lights and put the electrical underground at Brewer Arena. We're in the middle of a Pueblo Canyon conceptual trail design process. We have the golf course improvements for holes 4 through 18. And then we're working with the Los Alamos Public Schools on a tournament tennis court site and a gymnasium with some shared space. Those will be moving forward with some conversations with the school district and county council in a joint session towards the end of the month. The date for those haven't been set yet. Some opportunities that we've kind of heard of over the year that are on staff's list, and we've heard from some members of the community. All of these at this point are ideas, with the exception of the incorporation of community health in the library into all aspects of programming. We've been working on that for the past year. But some things we've heard and thought of are upgrade the camping at Camp May. Should we look at artificial turf on athletic fields? Pickleball court's a huge trend. Do we need a splash pad up in the Los Alamos town site? How about all abilities or boundless playground? Exercise station along our trails. There's a process going on for the conveyance of land from DOE and NSA and Llano and Rendahog Canyon. That could be a recreation area. We're looking to make sure that everything we do as we're moving forward is a good, sustainable action as we maintain these facilities. Opportunity to master plan North Mesa, the area from the tennis courts up to the soccer fields has a lot of potential there. We've got some parcels in White Rock we probably should consider a master plan on. We've heard from folks about a cricket pitch, additional community gardens, possibly lighted playgrounds, and then our tween center is still on our list. So again, these are all items that we've heard from. It's not all encompassing of everything we've heard, but just to give you an idea of some things we've heard about out there, maybe kind of stimulate your thoughts as we continue on in this conversation here.
Great, thanks, Corey. Okay, as we look at the community services department, we tend to look at 5 different elements for the healthy systems analysis. We'll go through everything here, but really we're looking for, why things are done and who's impacted by those, and are there any negatives that we can turn into positives. Looking at the systems, who also in the community, particularly outside of the community service, can assist with putting on these activities and the programmatic things that the community services wants to do. Looking at inventoried assets to develop the level of service, to look at equity and accessibility per rooftops, and then to identify, maybe areas we want to work on that through this plan. Obviously, look at any type of policies and procedures that would stand in the way or need to be changed for this to happen. And then to look at the resources that are available, as well as maybe can be attained to put this plan in place. So we'll look at the intersection of kind of the wish list and how far down the resources will allow us to go. So today, what that means is what we want to get input on is what are we doing, and is it working? So what's working well, and then how can we improve in other areas? So we're going to run you through some questions to get to that. A little bit of ground rules. This is basically a brainstorming session. So we're looking for that wide open wish list that we will eventually test in the public with the surveys. So there's no right or wrong answers. There's no, let's say, if you disagree with something, it doesn't mean we're going to take it down. So not looking for as many editorials as we are to get as many ideas down in this hour that we can. So, with that, in small group, I think we'll just open the mics up, and we also have the chat feature. If you'd rather type it in there, that's fine. We'll get it from there. But don't think we need to raise hands, just speak up. So our first couple of questions are, what are the strengths of the Los Alamos County Community Services? So what's currently working well with them? And then what are the challenges or weaknesses or areas that need to be improved?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Frank Montoya. I am representing Los Alamos Adult Softball. I think one of the strengths of the Los Alamos County Community Services is that they, like everything was kind of reiterated earlier, is they're in charge of a lot of stuff, right? There is they cover stuff from A to Z. I think and to lead into one of the challenges and weaknesses is, since they have so much, there's some scheduling conflicts, and I think certain user groups that kind of utilize the fields, they abuse a portion of their power, and I think that's having a kind of like a matrix that determines who has priority in the fields. I think that's in a way a weakness for our usage, at least.
Okay.
Hi, Mary Grow here. I am the coach for the mountain bike team for the youth. I think our services are incredible. If we could state, we have a lot going on. We have a lot of offerings. But I do think that sometimes, and I don't think this is the county specifically, but for instance, with the bike trails, we have these amazing trails that are really technical. So getting kids out on trails and having the access isn't quite there, just because there's not really beginner stuff. Again, not really community service as much. I feel like our community services has done a great job at sort of making our town really inclusive, and like thinks about this sort of broader picture of like, let's make a downtown that's cool. Let's have some great outdoor recreation opportunities all in the sort of vicinity. So I think that's a strength.
And then what you'd see could be improved is some beginner mountain biking trails.
Yeah, and specifically, Scott back from Bentonville, which is, like the newly developed mountain bike mecca, and seeing how they have, even short, like 0.1 mile sections that are just meant to be fun and really introductory. So a lot of what I'm here for is, to advocate for the youth mountain bikers. And so giving them opportunities where they can experiment with mountain biking in a safer way. If you get out on the trails here, they're pretty difficult to start, so it makes it hard for them to start. But yeah, having some opportunities where they can try and mountain bike without crashing on their first ride, kind of thing.
Great, thank you. Okay, anything else?
Yes, my name is Lisa Jo Dunham, and I wanted to emphasize the need for handicap accessibility and community. I know, we've got trails that are handicap accessible, but I want to stress the community. There's people out in the community that are trying to put together a place where they could go and play and seek medical help, and just in one area, like a little town that would support the people who live here who are handicapped, and they have to spend their days, and there's not necessarily a lot of recreation. I did ask where the All Abilities Playground is. I don't know where that is, but I just want to make sure that they're not forgotten.
Okay, thank you.
If I just may interject briefly, Ms. Dunham, the county also right now is in the middle of doing an ADA accessibility audit, which we will have some continued conversations in probably late March, early April with that. We will, if you're okay with it, we'll contact you when that comes back in, so you can be a part of that conversation as well.
That would be great.
Great.
Sure.
And yes, our intention also is with that plan, endorsing what the outcome and recommendations are for that plan as well. The company doing that we work with all the time, all over the country. So just the fact that is their special interest is great to have them in the county doing that.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Okay, anything else? Okay, we'll move on to our next slide. What additional programming activities and services do you feel should be offered by the Community Services Department, including all the things we've talked about, even outside of their purview? And what new facilities or amenities you'd like to see, or what improvements to existing facilities and amenities you'd like to see?
So essentially, this is like a wish list, I suppose.
It is.
Okay. So for adult softball, our season runs from May until October, and we have roughly from 700 to 800 people throughout our season. I think the biggest problems that we have, one is the field conditions. So the softball field conditions are we're continuously trying to maintain them. There's a lot of gophers. There's been a time to re-turf the fields, and they redid the seed covering and stuff, and it didn't really help the fields at all. So turfing the fields is a big one, and lights on the fields. We utilize 5 fields from that time frame from May until October, and it limits the ability of how long we could play, because we only have one field that has lights on it. So the other fields possibly to have lights would be a huge addition to us. And I think the last one is the dugouts. So we had a dugout last year that got blown over from the wind, And, you know, they didn't rebuild the dugout until our season ended in October. I think that the dugout fell sometime in like July timeframe. And then we finished our season in October and the dugout was still not accessible. So, you know, having our dugouts kind of redone to be sufficient so we don't have to deal with that problem would be a pretty good wish list as well. And oh, there's one last thing, I'm sorry. And there are a couple fields. There's a field that faces a parking lot. The home run fence faces a parking lot. And then another field faces a dog park. And at one time there was discussion about putting some nets up so that way when the players hit home runs, it's not going towards the dog park people or it's not going towards that parking lot. So those are the wish lists that I think would make a whole lot of people happy.
Are you talking about Overlook?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the soccer field. I don't know how they play soccer and not break their ankles because it needs help with the gophers and the weeds, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
So I sort of already mentioned what I think would be awesome to see here. And Corey and I have been able to chat once before about this, but you know, to get beginner mountain bikers out having short, easy trails, having sort of beginner friendly, less dangerous trails, and even just short, fun sections that aren't, you know, gonna tweak somebody's ankle or have somebody go over the handlebars. And then the other thing I'm really interested in is the NICA race loop, so that we can offer races and events here in town for the kids. And I know that's part of the Pueblo Canyon design concept. And then, you know, one other thing that I've thought about is that some of the really cool bike towns have, they really interconnect their trails as well. So they have mountain and or road, like paved trails for bikes and pedestrians specifically, that sort of connect throughout the town so that you can stop at a playground or stop at a coffee shop, and it becomes this sort of day event where you can just go and sort of see town while you're on your trails. So another thought.
Thank you. So talking also about connectivity within those trails. Great. Okay, anything else? All right, move on to the next one. Are there any portions of Los Alamos County that are underserved by the Community Services Department? And who might be some key partners and stakeholders in the community to help with the integrated master plan implementation?
Well, for the handicapped community, I would recommend talking to Melissa Arias, and she is the director of Rose Chocolatiers and Lemonade Living. And she's the one that's trying to put together that community for the handicapped. And Doris Roberts, who runs All Individuals First. It's a adult daycare. So I'd recommend them.
Okay. Corey, I don't know if they're on your list somewhere or if John is working with them or not, but you can let us know.
Sorry, can you say one more time? I didn't catch those names. Sorry.
Melissa Arias and Doris Roberts.
I believe both of them are with our first group of ADA focus groups.
Okay, great.
Great. So as far as the underserved, which we've kind of got from previous conversation, is the ADA aspect or those that with the disabled from all perspectives is an underserved population, is what I'm gathering.
Yes.
Okay. And you gave us some partners and stakeholders to assist us with, and I'm sure John McGovern will come up with probably a good list of partners that as he's doing the ADA plan.
So does the plan look at existing buildings and what we can do to upgrade them?
Yes, ma'am. This is focused on recreation facilities, so it'd be include the aquatic center, our senior centers and things like that. And it starts once you enter the parking lot into the facility. It also looks at our outdoor facilities such as playgrounds. It's a physical audit that they're actually here to look at it.
Okay, sounds great.
Any other underserved? Your populations, demographics, or geographically?
I don't know about our senior community. I know they're building new housing for them out on DP Road. But maybe we need to look at that. Services and housing.
Okay. Okay, move on to the next one. What are the key issues and values that we need to consider as we put this plan together? That are the values of the county community services. And then what are your priorities that you'd like to see considered on this plan? So if you couldn't have everything, what would be the one thing? I think all of you are very specific in earlier questions, so I think we know what those answers are, but you can go ahead and reiterate that with us.
Well, I think we gotta think about who is moving into Los Alamos. And that's the 20-something group, 20s and 30s. And what are they going to be interested in? You know, services, stores, restaurants, that kind of thing. I know it's a challenge to have a business in Los Alamos, but you know, if we can focus in on them, maybe they're not going down on weekends to Santa Fe and, you know, keep them on the hill.
Okay.
I agree with Lisa there. And I think part of that too is just making town fun. So having some night options, having some, you know, a few more restaurant options. And I do think a lot of people, like we came here for the outdoor access. And I think a lot of people are drawn here for that reason. So having trails, as you know, that's my interest, but having trails, but also making sure that we're being very responsible environmentally. A lot of people get confused with like people wanting to enjoy outdoors and protect outdoors. And I think most people who want to enjoy outdoors also want to protect it. So making sure that we're, you know, checking all of our environmental concerns and not doing any harm.
Great. Okay. Definitely a value that is loud and clear in Los Alamos County.
I think in my perspective, a possible way to get to priorities is possibly the amount of certain things that are utilized. You know, I know that there's a lot of questions as far as who should use what and what money should go to. And I think kind of assessing and figuring out what gets utilized the most by the most amount of people, I think should be a good priority as far as what we should move forward with certain projects.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, well, if you do think of anything else you'd like to add, might shoot Corey an email. He'll make sure that we get that and add it into the mix. As far as next steps, this Thursday night, February 3rd, we will have an open public, and it will be a webinar where we can host up to 500 people, and it's at 6:30. And we will put a kind of a summary PowerPoint together of what we heard during all the focus groups and present that, but also ask folks to chat in anything that they would like to add to the list and those types of things. We're also going to be presenting to the county commissioners the same results of that and getting their input on February 22nd with a work session there. And then an inventory assessment in March, as I talked about our GIS team coming down and looking at every amenity in the system. We will also put that statistical valid and online surveys together in March. And then the findings presentations that were on that process slide, we're looking at those probably in April, and twofold. The first part will be kind of everything that we've uncovered in the analysis work, including survey results. And then the second one will be the level of service that we did on the inventory assessment. So with that, is there any additional items you'd like us to know before we send you on your day?
No, sir. And thank you for your time and thank you for your assessments.
Great. Well, thank you guys for spending time with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, we appreciate you guys taking time this morning. Again, I just want to reiterate, this is real early in the process. My desire out of this is to get a comprehensive list of community needs, have the community conversation about what our priorities are. And then that way we as CSD can effectively manage those expectations and get some of these things down the road and make our community better. If you want to keep up with this process or even the ADA process, we have a tab on the Maine County webpage. If you'll hover over government on the left-hand side, it'll provide a drop down that has projects on the right-hand side. If you go down to community services and click on that, you can follow this project as well as the ADA project. We have got all of the meetings that have been held prior to this week that are already up there. So you could see what other members of our community are talking about if you desire, but a good place to keep up with what's going on in the process for that, as well as the ADA project. The public trail conceptual plan is there also. So that's a kind of a home for all of our major projects where you can keep up to date. And then again, by all means, if you have that epiphany at 2 o'clock in the morning, please shoot me an email or Linda an email, and we'll make sure that these guys get that information as we're moving forward. So thanks again for your time. I appreciate it. You taking the interest in this process. Be safe out there today. Looks a little snowy. So have some fun, and thanks again.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.